What were you thinking, that we would not speak about Juventus anymore because we come from 5 games without victory? That you were allowed to take a break because it's international break? Absolutely not. We'll speak about Juventus during these 2 weeks, and today we already have a beautiful agenda. Speaking about the CEO of Tether, that is speaking about the board of directors of Juve, we must speak about Jonathan David, about our 3 strikers, because he's the name that is actually going on all the 3 front pages. And then we must speak about that international break. What will be the material at disposal of Igor Tudor to solve a lot of matters? If you're ready, please put a maximum of like. Continue to subscribe to the channel. Ciao Juventini of the world. My name is Giuseppe. Welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Let me first start wishing the best to Juventus Women first team that is today opening a new competition for them is the Champions League, that today, special occasion, will be played not only against Benfica but in our stadium, the Juventus Allianz Stadium. I'm extremely happy. This is the correct recognition for our Juventus Women team, that when the stadium is free, is available, well, that should be their home, especially for a game played on Champions League. That being said, we go towards Juventus first team with the beautiful question from Corriere dello Sport. Is asking Juve, quando riparti? Juventus, when are you starting back? And if we go and answering purely on theory, well, we can say on the 19th of November at 12:30 p.m. against Como in their stadium, because that will be the next game of Juventus, an annoying game. Sunday, 12:30 p.m., extremely early. The players don't like it. Also for us, the fans, is super early in Europe. So imagine in USA, it's a total disaster of a schedule. But it is what it is. We know it. But on top of that, it's a team that is surfing on positivity. They already made the points that they needed to do in that beginning of the season. They have young players with a lot of enthusiasm. They have absolutely nothing to lose. They can just continue to impress with a lot of beautiful talents. They are in a positive moments, which Juve is absolutely not. So that game is really a problem. Not that much because Como and we should be afraid, but because we know that at the moment Juventus is not doing well. Because, guys, 5 games in a row without victory is something that is unusual. The last time that we had 5 draws in a row in every competition, it was in 2006, April, with Fabio Capello at the helm, at the head of Juve. So a total disaster when you need to start going back that long. It's 19 years ago. Now, a lot of people are already starting to compare Mr. X. After Mr. X, that was Thiago Motta last season, we have a new Mr. X, that is Igor Tudor, because in Serie A we have exactly the same result, exactly the same points after 6 match days, 3 wins, 3 draws, 9 goal scores, equal for both teams. The problem is that we conceded 5 last season. We conceded 0, but we have exactly the same points after 6 match days. The difference is made in Champions League. Champions League, where last year we started really well with 2 victories in 2 games, and this season we couldn't go over the 2 draws against Dortmund and Villarreal. So I understand perfectly the comparison. Mr. X is back. Juventini that are scared of the moment, because we know that last season we didn't lose a single game like this one, but it's not that it became better. We were all expecting the month of December where things could go much better, and at the end, December was a total disaster. That was the definitive collapse of the Bianconeri. So that's why Juventini are extremely scared today, because we already have the feeling that we lived that same exact season, starting well with a beautiful boost, starting to draw, and then we go towards the first losses, paranoia, collapsing of the locker room, etc., etc. And that's why Tudor must go out of that situation. Thiago Motta, just to spend a few words on him, has been contacted by l'AS Monaco, because they are looking for another coach. For what reason, I have absolutely no idea, but they are looking for Thiago Motta, that already said no, because he's waiting for a more ambitious project. Could have helped for Ardoino, CEO of Tether, for John Elkann, for Damien Comolli, because, of course, if he accepted these 15 million that we still have on the label, Thiago Motta financially would have disappeared, and that would have been a really beautiful one for the finances of Juve. It's not the case, so let's see. Now Tudor, 2 weeks to work, to prepare 3 huge games that are already extremely important, Como, Real Madrid and Lazio. Can he work a lot? He cannot. Look at the list of the players that has been called up. Cambiaso, Locatelli, Openda, Jonathan David, Kefren Thuram, Adzic, Koopmeiners, Conceição, Kostic, Vlahovic, Yildiz, McKennie, Jagrova. Yes, you heard me well. Koopmeiners as well, a player that was not originally called up, but that will be there because 2 players from the Netherlands were injured. What about Jagrova? Also there, even if he played 0 minutes in the last 2 games, he will be there. I'm really curious to see how many minutes he will play with the Kosovo national team. But that's not even that impressive. What is really scary is when you're looking at the Continassa boys. That's how I call them, the Continassa boys, the one that will stay there in La Continassa. Looks like we will go with a training for goalkeepers because the 3 goalkeepers are there, the 3 Italian ones, and then Kalulu, Gatti, Bremer, Rugani, and Kelly. On top of that, we have a Joao Mario that has not been called up, plus 2 partially or injured player. Miretti that should be back and be there for the first time in the squad list against Como, and then Cabal that will not train with the team, that will be there working on coming back as soon as possible, but we are not speaking about before November, before December, for some people already before 2026. So these are the people that are remaining in La Continassa. So Igor Tudor, what will he work on? Not a lot, Not a lot on preparing these games. He can recuperate easily Clayton Bremer, grazie Ancelotti. He can work on resting Kelly that played every single game. He can start to work and continue to work on Rugani as a second player, as a vice Bremer. He can work on these kind of things. Mentally probably free up Federico Gatti that has been there on the criticism, maybe insisting on Kalulu as a right wing back. But that's it. He cannot work on a lot of things there, especially not offensively. And we know, and that's the problem, that we have problems offensively, and that will be the second topic of the video. Is it an excuse before people start again? Beppe, you start with the alibi. No. Milan has sent even more players, 15. Inter equal to Juve, 13, 11 for Roma. Napoli, 10. Como, 9 players. Ragazzi, 9 players are gone from Como. The only problem could potentially be Lazio with only 4 players, so they have all the time of the world to work on these players during that international break. What is the problem there up front? We are not scoring with our strikers. At the moment, the striker that is starting in the 8 game that we played scored only 1 goal. It was at match day 1, Jonathan David. That's it. All the other goals from strikers, and can we say striker Dusan Vlahovic, because that's the only one, 4 goals from the bench. That's it. That's it. Openda didn't score, so we have a huge big problem there because our attack is not working. Like Alessandro Del Piero said, at the moment our attack is not working. It's not working even if on paper you should have the strongest one of Serie A. It is not working also because we are never able to find them, to involve them. Looks like they have to adapt themselves to a team that is looking for their own identity and that they are losing themselves. So that's something that Tudor will need to work on. But there, in his mind, playing a game, maybe on FIFA, on EA26, maybe, because at disposal, these players are not there. Then it's true that Jonathan David cannot be the one that we watch against Villarreal, cannot be the one that we watch against Milan with these huge misses, because that's not the player. You know it, I have never been for a huge big fan of the signing of Johnny, but on the other side, that's not the player. It's a great player. It's a good player. Now, the reassuring part is that the supporters of Lille are all continuing to say, repeating, reassuring, this is Jonathan David, a disaster player, the worst player of the world in the beginning of the season, and then at a certain moment, late November, December, sometime in January, he totally transformed himself like Ronaldo, the Brazilian one. So let's hope, but in the meanwhile, we need to solve it, because if we need to wait until November, in best case scenario, to have him, well, we need to play games in October and in the beginning of November. So, who? That's the huge big question. Now, we continue to give him trust. Apparently, this is what filters from La Continassa, what leaks from La Continassa. We continue with him, and I tell you, it's totally correct, because we could potentially go for Dusan Vlahovic, if we are looking at the score at the moment, 4 goals scored at the moment, but it's a player that is not part of the long-term project. Bayern Munich is looking at him, according to Bild, from next season at a free, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, potentially even for January, so that's a player that you cannot go too much on. On the other side, we go towards the last topic of the video, Reuters, that is a really, really respectable source, is telling us pay attention because crypto giant Tether is proposing candidates for Juventus board. So before entering the details confirmed by Paolo Ardoino, let's just tell you that the list of candidates are already given. They were already given last month when we were speaking about that meeting at Juve headquarters, and the names or the candidates by Tether were not there. But it's true that today, to the answer of Eduardo Mecca on Twitter, Paolo Ardoino said, yeah, we are proposing a list of candidates for the board of directors. Does that mean that they are already accepted? No, because you are proposing, you are offering, you are actually suggesting names. But on the other side, if the lists are kind of closed, and he's still confirming, like confirmed by Reuters this morning, it means that probably there is an opening from the ownership, that the ownership said, look, you're someone that invested and you hold more than 10% of the stocks of Juve. It's logical, it's normal, maybe we talked about it and we agree that you can propose a list of candidates. So probably we will have board of directors that will be part of the Tether ownership, so pay attention to that. What will it change? Some decision can be voted with more power from that. Will they become the new owner of Juve? That's not what we are speaking about. On the other side, they can possibly help. You know that we already did a capital increase of twice 15 million euros, so a total of 30 million euro by John Elkann, that also said, I'm ready to go up to 100, 110, 15, I don't remember exactly. Well, if John Elkann had in mind to do another capital increase, let's say of 30 million euro, arriving at 60, maybe Paolo Ardoino with Tether, they could even double it, going at 30 plus or 40 million euro. Let's see, to go and match maybe the 110 requested, that could give a financial boost for Juve. For the Mercato, no, but to actually give a lot more breath for Juve, to be actually much more free and not being like this financially and having some difficulties, especially respecting financial fair play, like Damien Comolli said a few weeks ago. That being said, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, so don't forget, maximum of like, continue to subscribe and be here because we'll speak about a lot of things during these 2 weeks. Grazie, forza, Juve.